Hello, myself Preeti Sushil. So today I'm going to tell you about the Vander Waal force of interaction. So basically, what is Vander Waal force? Vander Waal force is the force of interaction. Yeah, it is a force of interaction between any two non-polar molecules, two polar molecules, one polar and one non-polar, between ion and polar molecule, or between ion and non-polar molecule. So this definition you will find in every book, in every each and every book it is given. So I'm going to explain how you will identify which type of van der Waals force is applicable in which situation. Okay, so types of van der Waals force. First is ion dipole interaction. So what is ion dipole interaction? Ion and dipole, what do you mean by ion? Ion, it means any cation or anion, and dipole means any polar molecule. Okay, so what happens, how this interaction takes place? When the ion, okay, when the ion attracts the opposite charge of the polar molecule, then this type of force is developed. Means here Cl minus, okay, so Cl minus attract the positive part of HCl, that is there's partial positive charge on H, so it attracts H plus ion. So that is why a weak force of interaction is formed between this ion and the positive part of the polar molecule. That is why it's called the ion dipole. Ion and dipole means any polar molecule. Okay, now second type, dipole dipole interaction. How this takes place? Dipole and dipole means both are polar molecules. Okay, so what happens, the positive end of one polar molecules attracts the negative end of the another polar molecules, and this type of interaction is formed, like here HCl and HCl. Okay, so here Cl, there's partial negative charge on Cl and partial positive charge on H. So this partial negative charge attracts the partial positive charge of the H. Okay, and this weak force of interaction is formed. Now third is ion and induced dipole. Induced dipole, first you have to understand what is induced dipole. Induced dipole means anything which is not polar, any molecule which is not polar, means non-polar molecules, and dipole is induced in that non-polar molecules because of this ion. So how dipole will be induced in the non-polar molecule? See here, ion, either it will be negatively charged or positively charged. Okay, so if the ion attracts the mobile electrons, then what happens, that like here Br minus, it attracts the positive charge of the H2 is non-polar, of the H2 molecules. Okay, then what happens, that electrons are shifted on the one side and the positive charge is collected here. So it behaves as a dipole, induced dipole. Because why it is called induced dipole? Because it is produced by the ion, that is why it is called the induced dipole. So ion and induced dipole. Induced dipole means it is the non-polar. Okay, understood. Now fourth is dipole induced dipole. Dipole and induced dipole means one polar and one non-polar. So same thing, the positive end attracts the negative of the other non-polar molecules. Okay, like here Cl minus, there's partial negative charge on Cl minus and partial positive charge on H plus on H. Okay, so what this Cl2 is non-polar, so it attracts the positive charge towards itself, and the weak force of attraction is developed, called dipole induced dipole interaction. Okay, now fourth one is instantaneous dipole and induced dipole. Means both are non-polar, molecules. Then how the force of attraction is developed? See, at particular instance, when electrons just spin, and continuous and rapid rotation of electrons when takes place, then at there some instance the positive charge resides on the one side of molecule and the negative on the other side, and it behaves as a dipole. When this moment is there, then it attracts the negative charge of the other non-polar molecules towards itself, and the second molecules also start behaving as the polar molecule, but this happens for a very short period of time. That is why it is called instantaneous dipole and induced dipole. Means both are non-polar. Okay, So these were the 5 types of van der Waal forces. Okay, so now among these 5, ion and dipole interaction is the strongest among this, and this is the weakest, and it is also called London forces, instantaneous dipole and induced dipole. Okay, now there are some points. Van der Waal force is directly proportional to molecular atomic weight, boiling point, surface area, and bond polarity. Please keep this in mind when in my next video I'll take the question. Then this key points will only help you to solve the question. Okay, and remember one more thing, that bond energy of van der Waal force is 8 kilojoule per mole. Okay, just keep this in mind, and this is the weakest. Okay, even weaker than the hydrogen bonding. Okay, hydrogen bonding is stronger than van der Waal force. So hope you liked the video. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much.